NorCal, 209 King of Comedy. It's Rick without the K. James presents, in my opinion, podcast.
Let's touch on that real quick because we had a quick conversation last night about funny versus followers nowadays. I keep making that conversation when it comes to comedy that it doesn't matter how funny you are. You're a hilarious dude.
Doesn't matter at all.
But you're not booking rooms like a YouTuber. You know what I mean? And it's taking nothing away from you or them. Both of you guys have different skill sets, right? But we were talking about how the fact, are you able to do this full time or not? What is the future for Cody Woods? How do you combat that? Because I could say even last night you were supposed to do 20 minutes, and I think that's what stood out to me is the fact that you did 35 like it was a 15-minute set, like it was nothing, and then it wasn't until you were, oh shit, was I supposed to get off?
Yeah.
And you had, and mind you, the show ran late. It started late. It was during a weekday. Like, you had everybody captivated. So they forgot you were on stage for 30 minutes. Because normally, especially here, come 9:30, people are walking out. They don't give a fuck. I got to work tomorrow.
Right.
So it was, and I don't want to ride your dick too much, but it was impressive. That's why I posted up something last night. Because I was like, oh, shit, Cody's doing his thing. Every time I see you, there's growth. So with that said, what's Cody Woods gonna do when it comes to the social media shit?
Probably work at Burger King, to be honest with you, because like I'm pretty fucked, man. Like, so if it wasn't for the pandemic, man, like, so 2019, that was my year. I mean, I was killing it, dude. I was selling out shows because I had a nice business model. I had a brand. I was doing the Rolling Green Room. I had this RV. We customized it, and we called it the Rolling Green Room. It was all green and shit. Yeah, and then we toured the country, and we sold out shows everywhere. I was making an income. I made more money there than I did when I was working in dialysis.
Really?
Yeah, and that's with heavy travel expenses, like 10 miles a gallon, booking openers, booking flights, I was still making, like, really great money. And then the pandemic came, and now with the pandemic still happening, I'm trying to see if that same business will work. So I'm going to all my venues that I sold out before, and I'm just seeing how my numbers will be. Because if the venues that I've sold out before do bad, the venues that I did okay in are going to be horrible.
Yeah.
So I'm testing the market literally right now. I mean, that was a test last night to see if I could do this shit. I mean, can I financially do this? So far, I cannot. In every region of the country except the South. I can do the South. I sold out the South 2 weeks ago. I was in Mississippi. Now here's the real problem. As of now, what is it, August 2021, they're the first to have indoor mask mandates again. My one region that I could milk, I could just do Florida, Texas, Alabama. I could just work that shit for a year, find new venues. I could do that for a year. Just focus on the South. That shit is gone because their COVID outbreaks are even worse than everybody.
Were you doing a lot of Zoom shows during this pandemic?
I did a few. I did it just to see if there's a muscle.
I bring it up because I didn't do it, and I told people I wouldn't do it. I'm like, fuck it, I'd rather do more podcasting than Zoom shows. So
I did it to try to, like, get used to thinking really fast again, because, like, when you're on stage, you're like, you redline a car in the RPM zone. So when you're going on stage a lot, you get real comfortable with your brain being in the red on the RPMs because you have to think really fast. So that just gets really comfortable after a while. But if you let your engine sit and be cold, and you haven't started that engine in like 6 months, you start it and you go, wah, wah, you might just flat out break something, right? Because the engine's still cold. Yeah. So I did Zoom shows because I knew this engine was getting cold, man. I was like, I need to fucking... Now, some of the jokes that I wrote for Zoom, they didn't work in real life. Like, none of that shit translated, really. Some of it did, some of it, but, it was different. Because Zoom, you're, like, on a frame. It's a different style of comedy, but it makes you have to think really fast. Because you're like, all right, what's the next thing? Like, it makes you have to think really... Just how stand-up makes you have to think really fast. So I just did it as a workout. It does not help with stand-up, though. Like, when people say, oh, it's the same, it ain't the same. It's not the same.
It's not even close.
Because here's why. Like, so there's one audio. Right now, we got 2 audio channels. But on, like, Zoom, there's one audio channel for the people laughing coming into your headphones. So if 3 people laugh, it sounded like you murdered the room. But really 3 people out of 25 laugh. But it sounded like, so you're like, ooh, that's a loud pop. So then you go do a real show, you know, like I got like a New Year's Eve show in Cincinnati. I was like, I'm going to do all my Zoom shit in Cincinnati because it's been killing. The problem is 3 people in your headphones sounds a lot different than 3 people in front of 150, like 3 people laugh. Yeah. You bombed, the joke bombed.
Yeah.
Even though 3 people laughed, you need to make 70% of the crowd laugh at least, or else the joke ain't no good. So, you know, so I didn't get any material from doing Zoom shows.
So that kind of piggybacks off of this next question is about, I asked comics, what is the one thing you would go back and tell yourself year 1 in comedy?
Marketing, just worry about marketing.
Just worry about the business
social
end.
Media, yeah. Business end, try to figure that out. You know, because I wasn't naturally a business guy. Now I am. Like, I had to figure it out. But I probably would have been somewhere faster because it took me a long time to get in a lot of places. Like, dude, my first hosting weekend at a club, I had to wait like 6 years to get it.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Just to get a weekend hosting. All my friends that I started with 6 years in, they had TV credits. And they were headlining clubs. I just started hosting. Yeah. But to be honest, I was just as good as them. But they understood the business. They knew how to accelerate the business end. It wasn't just about being funny. It was the business. They just understood it, you know?
Again, I think we kind of spoke about that off camera last night. And I just talked about how there's a lot of comics that don't understand this is an entertainment business. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If there's no business, there ain't going to be no entertainment. So you have to figure it out. And that's why I asked where you're going with all this. Because I try to, as much as I tell people, I don't want to do this. It's a have to. But it's also, you know, how much time do you spend a week doing the business end of shit?
See, that's what really sucks about doing comedy
how do you hold a full-time fucking job
you can't.
And do this shit?
You can't. You have to take the full plunge and be willing to possibly end up homeless. That's how you
possibly do it. Most of motherfuckers.
Yeah. But like your survival instinct kicks in and you'll be surprised how things clear up. You know who told me that? Big Al Gonzalez. He was a full-time comic, like just in the Bay Area. He was full-time. He used to produce shows. He'd be like, and he told me when I was like, I was young in the game. I don't know how many years in, but I was young.
When did you start comedy?
I started in 2006.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's 2021 now. I was young. I had chops. I had like probably a solid 15 minutes. So whatever the fuck time that was, 5 years in, I don't know. But he said, when you have to pay rent, you will. Basically, you will. You'll find a way. So like your survival instinct, when you have to survive, like everything gets clear. He explained it to me. He was like, no, like when you'll feel it. You'll be like, how do I make this work? Things become clearer because your mind gets way sharper. Instead of me looking at this beer bottle, I won't look at the beer bottle the same. I'll look at it as, I could turn that in for 10 cents. Now, that's not what you're doing as a comic. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to recycle, you know, I'm so fucking hungry. But
you can make $5 a day on some of these comics.
Because subconsciously, you know that you're in survival mode, you become more opportunistic, and you will find a way to make it work out. So, but you are risking homelessness. That's how you do it. So, in terms of the business end, it's fucking 8 to 12 hours a day. That's what it takes to do it full time, and that's not even writing. I don't even have time to write.
No, that's the other thing is it does take away. I mean, people ask me, they're like, "Man, you're doing this." I'm like, to edit a video, to send out emails, to send out contracts, to send out, you know, where they're like, "Dude, I haven't heard any new material." I'm like, "Man, I haven't had a chance to write anything yet." And I'm like, so this is the reason why I'm doing some of the shit, and then when you do get booked, My problem, I don't know if it's your problem, is when you do get booked and then you get put on. Like I feel like I'm at that certain amount where I'm not really doing open mics too much, but I'm not saying that I'm better than them. But if you put me in front of 100 people, am I gonna want to use something that I know that works, or something that I'm gonna go out and be like, oh fuck it, I only got 10 minutes. Let's go try it out. So 100 people can tell me that I'm shitty. You know what I mean? Of course, you try to mix in new and old, right?
Yeah.
But there's only so much. Then you got to mix in 20% of new. So are you really working out new shit?
Yeah.
So how often are you working out new shit?
Every show for sure, because the time for writing went away because I'm a full-time comic without representation. I do not have an agent or manager. It'd probably be different if I had representation to take some of the load off, but so the stuff that I wrote, I'm gonna have to just do it on stage, like at a paid gig. So I'm gonna have to just do it. Like I tried this Michael Jordan bit out yesterday. That's new. That's like 1 week old. It's, all the parts I thought were going to be funny weren't, and all the parts I thought would be okay were funny. So it just changed everything. So now I got to rework it. So Dave Attell told me he does a new joke every set, at least one new joke, no matter what. Even if you're on TV, do it. He did new shit on TV, he told me. So I was like, oh, okay, so that's the maximum level. Even if you come short of that, you're going to be improving a lot, But he'll do new shit on television that he wrote that day. He never tested it. He just did it on TV. You know what I mean? So that's the extreme. So if you can be that good, or at least try to be, I try to be that good. I can't just fucking write 5 minutes and go on TV. I'm just, no, and that ain't for me. But I would like to be that good, So do new shit every show, no matter what. No matter what. If you can do more new shit, even better. Do as much new shit as you can every show. But I don't recommend that for new comics though. You can start doing new shit every show after 7 years. After 7 years of stand up. You know what I mean? Like
What do you consider a vet? Is that a length of years, or is that amount of time you can do on stage? What do you consider a vet?
Sometimes, you know what, I wanted to say after 10, because there is a magic number after 10. It is a magical number. Everybody talks about 10. And in my experience, I'm like, yeah, they're right. 10 was kind of like where shit started to change. Brett Ernst told me the other night, he's like, it's all the milestones are 6, 11, and then 15. But then after 15, that's it. So a 15 is as good as a 30. Like when you're at 15, you're there. So you're basically a 30-year comic, but you're just young. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you're 15 is like the final thing, and then I don't know. I guess I think 15 is you're there. You're finally there. But I think 10, maybe you're a vet. But some guys, man, I'll be like, they're a vet, but they've been doing it way less. But because they've done more. Like one of the things that I consider a veteran, did you go to New York or LA? And I don't mean to shit on Bay Area comics because, look, we're very strong comics. Our stage time is the shit. We have amazing stage time. We have better stage time than anywhere else in the country. We can become really funny really fast. But until you've been to LA or New York and you've felt the beating that place gives you, you're not a veteran yet. Because
have
that's
you done a lot of
thing.
comedy in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
it's easier than LA. LA is the hardest.
And I hear that LA doesn't pay shit.
No, doesn't
mistreats
pay shit.
their comics.
Mistreats
but at
their
least
comics.
in New York, you can go to doing 4 or 5 mics and get paid every night.
Yeah.
Well, before the pandemic.
That's kind of bullshit, by the way. They say that. That's not, the guys that really get paid like a lot of spots and get paid, make a living off stand-up in the city in New York, they're already like famous. You can't just move there and expect to be plugged into this circuit. It takes years, and you might not get that circuit. Even if you're amazing, you just might not get in that circuit. So New York is The reason why New York is better is you can hop on the train. It's like BART, how you can get across. Subway changes everything. That's literally why they're better, because their weather sucks. It's hard. Like, it's a hard city to be in, but it's easy to get around. You can get to your spots on time. You can't do that in LA.
LA traffic sucks and there's no transit there.
Boy, Charlie Murphy, my main man, Ric James. That's the one you think, the comedian Ric James. Get up.
I can't hear my neighbor crying, I can't breathe.
Please hit the subscribe button down low so you can see all new clips, all new episodes coming to you.